Hello, welcome to Proformance Racing School, the premier high performance and competition driving school in the Northwest. My name is Don Kitts Jr. and I'm the chief instructor at Proformance. Founded in 1994 by my wife Dawn and I, the school has a base of operation here at Pacific Raceways in the Kent Valley. 30 minutes from downtown Seattle, 30 minutes from downtown Tacoma, a beautiful wooded setting with Mount Rainier in the backdrop. This circuit has it all. Long straightaways, high-speed sweepers, massive elevation change down into short, tight, twisty bits, a very fast left, right, left chicane, a sweeper, and back out onto the front straightaway. Very challenging, very technical, and oh, by the way, it is an absolute hoot to drive. Our purpose in creating this video today is to give you a first look, entry-level guide as to how to navigate your way around this circuit. We've got the Proformance staff here to help us today. Let's get started. At Proformance, we color code our cones. Orange cones are breaker mark cones, yellow cone is turn in, green cone is apex, white cone is where we want the car to end up exiting the turn. I highly encourage you to use our cone system here to accelerate your initial learning to the line around this racetrack. But at some point, please start picking reference points that will always be there, because the cones may not be. Right now, I've got one of our instructors, Curtis Krieger, waiting for us down at turn 1. Let's get started. Curtis, they're all yours.
Thank you, Don. Hello, everyone. My name is Curtis Krieger, a senior instructor here at Proformance Racing School, here to talk about turn 1. The setup for turn 1 actually begins by coming through the kink, or turn 10, which is directly behind us. As you make your way coming down the front straightaway, your eyes are going to want to be up and high out in front of you, looking for a yellow turning cone on the cement barrier. As you make your way down here to the cement barrier, you want to make sure that your vehicle is parallel with the wall, just a couple of feet off. To make the turn in for turn 1, it takes a slight amount of right-hand input to get from driver's left all the way to driver's right, past the white wall at the end, going past our green apex cone. All right, we've made the commitment at turn in for turn 1, back at the yellow cone. We have now passed the white concrete barrier on driver's right, and we are apexing turn 1. At this point, we are still steady at a speed we're comfortable with, all the way until we get to the braking zone into turn 2. Ken, take it away.
All right, thank you, Curtis. My name is Ken Hill, one of the senior instructors here at Proformance. We are standing roughly the turn-in mark for turn 2. So we're going to walk you through that. Turn 2 is really 4 phases. Got the braking zone, our turn-in, the gate you can see in the distance here. That's where you really initiate the turn through the apex and the rollout to the exit cone on the outside. The things to keep in mind as you're coming into this corner is it is a fast sweeper. It's a lot faster than most people think the first time they drive through it. But if we take a kind of single file and do each of the 4 sections in sequence, then you'll make it through not only safely, but also very quickly as well. So again, the first component, as we come through turn 1, we're carrying an enormous amount of speed into the braking zone, using those cones, setting them up just to the right of the vehicle. Make sure you get on the binders, get on the brakes hard in a straight line. As you approach the end of the braking zone, you'll see our yellow turn-in cone. By the time you get to that turn-in cone, you want to be off the brakes, at least coming off of the brakes, letting the car stabilize, flatten out. Keep your eyes up for our gate, try and center through that. And then very importantly, just past the gate, there's a white dot that we painted onto the asphalt. You want to straddle that. And the idea behind it is if you get the car placed and straddled over that dot, center over the top of it, you'll have a certain amount of steering input in to make that happen. Just hold it. Don't move the wheel from that point. Just hold it right there, and that'll carry you around to the apex. Now, as soon as you make it through our gate, you want to keep your eyes up, keep them high, look as far through the turn as you can, and look to that apex cone, our big green apex cone. If you hold the steering wheel set in one position, you'll make that constant arc in. The car will come very, very close to that apex cone. That's right where you want to be. At that point, if everything feels stable, the car is settled, we can start accelerating. As we do so, we're just going to relax the wheel. We're not going to turn out of it. We're just going to relax it, let the vehicle straighten up a little bit. That'll carry you all the way back out to the right side of the track, the exit area, and that'll give you a good run down the hill. So again, to summarize, hard brakes in a straight line as we come into the braking zone where I'm currently standing, eyes up, looking for our turning cone. As soon as we get to that yellow cone, we want to be coming off the brakes and let the car settle and stabilize. That'll carry us through our turning gate, straddle over that white dot. If you've done that correctly, the car will be set up with just the right amount of steering input to allow it to stabilize and hold it there. All the weight will shift to the outside of the car, give you nice grip all the way into the apex. Keep your eyes up, throttle consistent. As soon as you know you're going to get to that apex cone, you're not missing it by 5 feet, you're not missing it by 3 feet, you're right in on top of that apex. Then we can start accelerating. Let the steering wheel relax. That'll take you all the way to the exit cone for a great run down towards 3A. And to that end, we're going to turn it over to my brother Wes.
Well, thanks Ken for that. My name is Wes Hill, another senior instructor here at Proformance Racing School, and what I'm doing is talking about my favorite complex of turns here at Pacific Raceway, turns 3A and 3B. So Ken talked you through coming out of turn 2. You're on driver's right-hand side, if you will. As you transition to get ready for turns 3A and 3B, you would move over to the left-hand side. As you look to my left, you can see you'd be coming down a hill. This is a very steep hill. Between turns 3A and 3B, you lose about 300 feet of elevation. So as a result, when you're coming down the hill towards 3A, the car has a lot of momentum. The way to take care of that is to get on the brakes very, very firmly. You really want to push hard on the brakes while the steering is pointed in a straight line. As you come into the turn, unlike some simpler corners, you don't want to just hop off the brakes. What you want to do is start easing off the brakes as you roll more steering input into the car. You can see where the Toyota is sitting in our yellow turn-in cone. That's the point in 3A where you would actually want to turn your brake lights off, if you will. That's where you're going to come completely off the brakes as you roll in the final bit of steering input. What that does is it points you towards the apex of 3A, and if you look off to my right over here, you can see it's a very, very late apex. At that point, you can pick up the throttle a little bit. Now remember, you're still coming down a very steep hill. Pick up the throttle, let the car roll out to the outside a little bit, but you don't need to move all the way to the outside of the track. Just mid-track would be fine, because the straightaway connecting 3A and 3B is relatively short. So as the car moves out to mid-track, a little bit of throttle for a very short period of time, get the steering wheel straight, then back on the brakes. The bottom of the hill over there, you can see on driver's right, is our turning cone for 3B. That's the point where you would start steering to the left-hand side, but the biggest mistake we see out here is people come off the brakes too early. This is one corner where as you turn away from the turn-in cone, you want to maintain a little bit of brake pressure. Now you're done slowing the car, but you still want to keep your brake lights on until you're at least a third, maybe half the way to the apex point. At that point, you turn your brake lights off, you smoothly transition to throttle, gently start squeezing on the throttle. You'll pass the apex cone that you see down there, let the car track out to the outside. 3B, most people, they carry too much speed. It's the tightest, slowest corner here. If you can remember to stay on the brakes a little bit longer to help that car turn, it's easy to come out and head to the next series of corners. And with that, I'm going to turn you over to Don Kitchen. He's going to take you through turns 5A and B.
Okay, thanks Wes. We're now at the exit point of turn 3B. We're headed on to a very long back straightaway. Drive the car as long as you can without turning the steering wheel. The car, or the track, will transition the car from driver's right to driver's left as we head up to the chicane, turn 5A, B, and 6. Okay, we are now looking at the braking zone prior to turn in for 5A. The braking zone is very short, it's straight, and it's uphill. It starts at this orange cone. Braking is terminated by the yellow cone. At the yellow cone, a slight amount of right-hand steering input takes the car from driver's left to driver's right. Approaching turn-in for 5A, the left-hander, The car is all the way to driver's right. You wait for that very last cone on driver's right, which is yellow in color. Roll in left-hand input to apex 5A. Your trajectory off 5A should point you right to the yellow turn-in cone for 5B. This is a series of turns. 5AB6 is left, right, left. It's like skiing the moguls. If you're staring at the mogul you're on, you're going to fall on the mogul you're coming to. Your eyes are always one mogul, in this case, one turn ahead. It is left, right, left, steady throttle, no brakes, no gear change.
Thanks, Don, for getting us all the way to the exit cone at turn 6. I'm Randy with the Proformance Racing School, and I'm going to take you from here all the way up the hill through turn 7 and to the braking zone at turn 8. All you're going to need to remember are 3 tips. Tip number 1, stay on throttle. You've been on throttle since turn 6. Continue that all the way up the hill and make sure you remain on throttle through the turn all the way to the brake zone at turn 8 to help stabilize and balance the car. Tip number 2, stay driver's right. Your right side tires should be at the fog line all the way up the hill until you get to the next turn-in cone. And finally, tip number 3, when you do make your turn in, use slow, steady hands. Make a nice, smooth, deliberate turn in and keep that car balanced all the way until you get to the brake zone for turn 8, where Manfred will be waiting for you. Take it away, Manfred.
Thank you, Randy, and welcome to turn 8. You're carrying a lot of speed coming out of turn 7, and you're going to have to get rid of it coming into turn 8. My name is Manfred, and I'm going to help you through this section. If you look over to the right-hand side, you'll notice the brake markers on here. These are the reference points that you're going to be needing to get your car slowed down. Further ahead, we've got the yellow turn-in cone. As you approach that yellow turn-in cone and you're under braking, I want you to look quickly around the corner and identify the marks that you want to achieve. You've got the gate in there, that's the orange cones, and you've got a green apex cone further around the corner. So as you've glanced at that, you've recognized it. At the yellow turn-in cone, you're going to softly release the brake pedal and slowly squeeze on the throttle. You're going to carry speed all the way around the corner. You're going to be steady and stable with the steering and throttle inputs all the way around until you get to the apex of turn 8. At the apex of turn 8, you're going to slightly release the steering wheel, bring yourself to the center of the track, and you're going to carry a lot of speed coming out there, approaching the most important corner on the racetrack, turn 9.
Exiting turn 8 will place you in the center of the track. Maintain that left steering input as you come back across the track to the yellow cone on the left. Placing the car one car width off of that yellow cone will open up turn 9 both visually and physically. Keep your eyes up. Look into, through, and out of turn 9. Get your eyes on that white exit cone as soon as you can, as this is where you want to exit the turn. The apex of turn 9 is very late. It is on the back side of the turn, marked by a green cone mounted on the fence. Visualize your car arcing around that turn, apexing 2 feet off of the wall. On exit, release the wheels slightly to allow the car to the white cone on the driver's left as you enter the front straightaway.
Okay, now we've taken a look at each sector, each turn of the circuit. Let's put it all together in a lap. From the apex of turn 8, free the car up a bit. Open the wheel, just take a little of that left-hand steering pressure out of the car. That's going to let it track out here to driver's right. But the wheel that you leave in the car brings it right back over here to driver's left, headed toward this yellow turn-in cone. We're going to go by this yellow turn-in cone about one car width off it. Our eyes are up. We're looking into, through, and out of turn 9 here. The apex of turn 9 is on the back side of the turn. It's that green cone on the fence, and it's on the back side of the turn. It's very late, and we're going to go by it about 2 feet off of it. Free the car up, just open the wheel slightly, let it track out here to driver's left, this white cone. A little bit of wheel you leave in the car brings it right back across track to driver's right. And you're going to straddle this seam, this little seam right here in the asphalt. You're going to be right in the middle of it. It opens turn 10, the kink, up a little bit if you have the car a little bit more over to driver's right. Our yellow turn-in cone, and right past the green apex cone here at turn 10. It makes turn 10 pretty much a non-event. Our eyes are up. We're looking all the way down the straightaway to this yellow turn-in cone for turn 1. Eyes up, way down the straightaway. Pick up the yellow turn-in cone here at turn 1. At this point, the car is lined up parallel to the white wall. At the yellow turn-in cone, a little bit of right-hand steering input takes the car from driver's left to driver's right to skim right past the end of the white barrier wall, right past the apex there at turn 1. Steady throttle through here. Drive the car through here on throttle at a speed you're comfortable with. Let it settle down. Get it pointed straight. Squeeze the brakes. Begin to gradually release the brakes. Our yellow turn-in cone through our gate, and pick up this white dot. The white dot right here, straddle it. The white dot right in front of it, straddle it. Look over to the apex. Gradual track from driver's right to driver's left to a very low and late apex here on driver's left. Now let's use up all the track on the exit, all the track, let the car track all the way out to our white exit cone. A little bit of wheel you leave in the car takes it from driver's right, cross track to driver's left as we start down the hill into 3A. This is a very long braking zone. We commence braking at our first orange cones, and we do not end braking until the yellow cone that we see out ahead of us here. That yellow cone terminates braking. It also is our last steering commitment into a very low and late apex here on driver's right. At apex, release the car slightly to driver's left. About mid-track is fine. Drive it right across track to this yellow turn-in cone for 3A. Squeeze the brakes. Begin to release the brakes as we're approaching apex. Open the wheel. Commit to throttle. Use up all the track here on the exit. We're on a straightaway. Drive the car as long as you can without turning the steering wheel. The car will go from driver's right to driver's left. Or does the track go from driver's right to driver's left? One way or the other, we end up on the left side of the track, all the way to the left as we down through the valley into 5A. Initial application of the brakes here is firm at the orange cone. Begin to gradually release the brakes at the yellow cone. Let the car track over to driver's right, get it all the way to the right side of the track, and at the yellow cone, turn in and on throttle. You must be on throttle at turn in for 5A to some degree. That is a left-hand turn. The trajectory off that turn brings us right to the yellow turn-in cone there for 5B. Right-hand input takes us right to the apex of 5B. Leave that wheel in the car. It brings us to the turn-in cone here for 6. Use up all the track here on the exit. All the track here on the exit. Follow the fog line up the hill. Follow the fog line up the hill all the way to our yellow turn-in cone for turn 7. On throttle through here. Give the car a command. The command is throttle. Squat the car through here on throttle. Let the car settle down. Get it pointed straight. Squeeze the brakes. At our yellow turn-in cone, look right through the 2-cone gate into the apex here at turn 8. A slight arc of the steering wheel brings you right down here to apex. Open the wheel slightly, take some of that left-hand pressure out of the wheel, and we're right back to our turn-in point at turn 9. That's a lap Pacific Raceways from Proformance Racing School.